Today's conversation is with my friend Michael Phan, who helps people over 35 to get fitter, healthier. This is the Be a Warrior podcast. Hi, Mike. So I invite you here because we met on a group. It's called Waking Men. And over there, we talk about the journey of be a business owners and be connected on sports. And I know you do both. So the idea is for you to share a little bit of your knowledge so
Yeah.
others like us can go through life and become the heroes of our own stories. I know that you are a marathonist. So tell me a little bit how that whole start in your life.
It's a it's a nice mixture, a nice blend actually, because I started not from a young age. Yeah, I guess if we look back at school, I was a keen runner. I was a keen sports person in terms of, I played all the sports. I ran around the field in my pants and my vests, whatever the teachers told me, right? I enjoyed from a young age just being out to play and being free and literally being out to play until my mum would shout out, it's dinner time. And then I would
Yeah.
come back home. But from school, we went obviously to secondary and college and university. I lost my way a bit in terms of the fitness at that point because I found girls, I found alcohol, I found, just living the student life, I guess.
Yeah.
But then I found a love for running again when I was in my late 20s. So by that point, I was in investment banking. I had, I'd got myself to postgraduate level. I got a master's in France, etc., etc. Followed the usual route of going into some kind of finance or businessy kind of position, and it was there that I guess the mindset started of you can achieve what you put your mind to. So in terms of the journey from, working my way through my own education and learning how to learn, I got to my summit, one of the summits, which was getting into an investment bank. It was like, yes, I'm here, right? Like I call it it's the Asian dream, right? It's what your
Okay.
parents want of, are you going to be a dentist, a lawyer, or a banker or something like that, right?
Okay. So
I got to bank.
so you have MPRS.
Yeah.
So you are a business owners. You help people, I think, if correct way, with sports, running, with their own health. So
Mhm.
over there is already a big change from what our parents want and what we want from the
Yeah.
corporate world.
Yeah.
Then you run your own live and your own show.
Yeah.
What were the challenge that you had?
The first challenge, the biggest challenge was transitioning from the corporate world, from the finance world into the entrepreneurial space or into the fitness space. That was the biggest challenge. That was the first leap of faith because it was like, do I do this? Do I take that big risk? Because, I had followed this path that was kind of set out for me in terms of what my parents expected of me. And then the biggest risk was, will this actually work? Am I going to, you know, fall on my face and be successful in this? So that was the first risk. Uh, then the risks along the way got bigger and bigger, I guess. Like it's a daily risk of what I see as putting myself out there. And there's the risk of not being liked, the risk of it not working, the risk of the business folding. There's daily risks, I would say.
Yeah. I often, work with the owners and sports people, and they are connected in a way that sometimes they don't see. Sports people, they need more and more on this DNA, of social media and everything. They need to run their own brand as sports people, as business owners. You cannot just be good in what you do. Is how you put outside of your comfort zone. But
Mhm.
as business owners, you know, they need to take care more about their own body and their own mindset. And the main reason is the pressure they have on these days is so much higher. I think that's previous in the past because there is too many distractions. that the challenge are so greater. So on all these, like what, like how you've been overcoming this? What are your resources?
I I would say I've applied what I've learned through running marathons into my business world, into my business, in terms of the attitude that, in my running, as long as I am consistent, as long as I push, as long as I progress, I know that I'm getting a return on my investment in
Yeah,
terms of, faster times, feeling stronger, getting to run a different race in another part of the world or whatever. I've then transferred that into my business in terms of I know that if I'm consistent, the actions that I take in my business, then I've proved over the last 9 years or so that it works. As long as I apply myself and keep running, basically running, don't slow down, keep running because success definitely loves speed. It
mhm,
doesn't want you to, go slow to an extent of, it is a marathon. You're not going to get overnight success as with, training for a run. Like you're not going to be able to succeed in a marathon just by training one day. It's going to take you months and months. It's the same with the business, right? You have to
yeah,
build up, build up that asset.
yeah. So sometimes the business, even if we are doing everything, the things don't go the way we want, you know?
Yeah.
In running, I think it will happen also the same. What's happening when the legs cannot run?
Physiologically, like what's happening there is generally you're running out of steam, right? It's to analogize that with your business. I would make it as, you're running into too many obstacles, or in the purest sense, you're potentially cash flow negative in terms of like there's not enough cash in the business because cash is, the lifeblood of any business. If there's consistent cash coming in, then you can continue to travel and
Yeah.
go from A to B. And yeah, with the running, it's
And the
times. It's a case of you run out of energy rather than cash. Is you
uh,
run out of energy and stamina and everything else.
any thoughts on the mental side? Because part of that is they overcome the mental side and how we work with the informations that we have, on the run or on the business.
Mm. So it's I would say running is very much a mental game. It's probably more like 70% mental, 30% physical, because there's always a voice in your head going, Mike, just stop. You can stop. It doesn't matter. No one's going to know that you're not
Yeah.
doing this run. And it's about understanding that those thoughts are always going to come up. And the more, the more I've gone out for the run, the more I've trained despite those, you know, things and feelings coming up, these thoughts, these limiting thoughts, the better I've been able to develop this kind of discipline, this kind of, self assurance that I can do things and stick to the promises that I make to myself, whether that is in running or business. And
Yeah.
I'm in a lucky position where I run as a business. Like
You run as business.
I literally, I help people to run as a business, as my own job, so that I feel very grateful and gratitude. I feel very,
Yeah. Yeah. I think in a ways we are more, we really are what when we are alone, and running is about that, is when no one is watching us and we still need to keep going. Is as I said, we met on a group and maybe want to speak a little bit. So, and I think that was a little bit like me, was to go from a lonely wolf to go a pack of wolves and to king up, become the king of our lives. What's that about the awakened man?
the awakened man. I too felt like a lone wolf, Nuno, in terms of business, feeling like it was quite lonely. Like I didn't have a group of like-minded people, a group of other business owners who would be there as a sounding board, who would be there to support you, who would be there to empathize and just like to be around because, you know, my partner, the family, my close friends, like they're all doing other things and they don't quite get it. So I was invited along to try out this awakened man group. I was like, what is it? So I think it was a case of I needed to sample it and see for myself the the genuine support and the value of the group for myself. And when I did that, I was like, yeah, this is it. Like I still want to be a wolf, but I want to be in a pack, as you say, like
Yeah.
because then you're all running in the same direction. You're all chasing, hunting the same thing, which is to not just an awakened man, but to be successful, to feel like you're working on purpose and to step into your king, as you say.
Can you share any important learnings that you had on that? Like,
So many. One of them is to be open, to allow yourself to be vulnerable because as a lone wolf, before awakened man, before joining a group of men, I was pretty much a closed book, right? I wouldn't allow myself to be vulnerable and to share the things and thoughts because of fear of judgment, because of fear of pissing people off, right? It's like that's the first major lesson that's been to allow yourself to be vulnerable. The second main learning has been that no no one is coming to save you and you have to do it. You have to do it yourself. You are the king of your own life. You are your own creator. And otherwise, what you are falling into is the trap of being a victim and allowing life to happen to you rather than for you to create it. Go out there and thrive and get busy living rather than allow things to just happen and have Groundhog Day where the same thing happens every single day. And then I'll be 80 and looking back and going, crap, I wish I'd done X, Y, Z.
it's a common thing, you know. I often speaking with people and clients is they stop because they don't show up as they are in a sense. They don't show up with like the person you meet on the coffee, you know. They always try to change a little bit to please the family, change to the job, change
Mm,
to the partner, and we are using all these masks every day, you know. Instead, like, hey, this is who I am. You like it or not, you deal with that. Because everything you think about me through your eyes, you know, it's your beliefs and nothing to do with me. And I actually, one of the calls, and I'm also like you change a lot, you know, in a sense. I used to not say anything. Sometimes I need to kind of shut up, you know, because I'm already saying too much. But that is like a freedom of all this weight we have and all these silly things from mistakes or things we did in past and just, you know, put it where they should be. But now actually I step up a game just recently because I was sharing. But when you think that you are sharing and you are courageous, there is other levels of that. And that is even you going deeper, you know? And even also like realizing in order for us to have in our life the things we want to have, we need to become someone else in a sense. If all we are was enough to give all these things we want to have, we already have them. So it's like, what is our next version that is able to do
yeah,
the things that needs to be done to have that? And one of the things was the marble status of Michelangelo. So that is, we already have this version of inside of us, and sometimes we just need someone kind of help us to, you know, take away
chip
what
away.
is excess, yeah,
Yeah.
and become this version. So my question is, who you want to be or want
How
to
long we
become?
got, you know? How long we got? If we're referring to that particular exercise that we did, or you know, as a general, what do I want to be, or who do I want to be? I want to be I want to be the best version of myself. I I want to live a life of no regrets. I want to live a powerful life that makes a difference to people, to business owners, to my clients, to whoever else that my legacy is going to have an impact on. So in terms of who that is, I have to have clarity on that in terms of, okay, that's the version I want to be. This is where I am now. What is the gap? What do I need to change? How do I have to be to get there, right? And
Mhm.
allow myself to feel those emotions now and not leave it until I get to that version to allow myself to feel those feelings. Do you see
Okay.
what I mean?
Yeah. So leading your life the way you want, how you see yourself in your field. If I meet you in 2 or 3 times, how you want to show up.
How do I want to show up?
Yeah.
I I would like you to I would like you to feel at ease when you meet me. I would like you to feel like you are being looked after, that I have the I have the experience and wisdom to help you in this certain field, whether it's, you know, the running, the fitness, the mindset, the strength. Like these are my categories as to the exact things I help my clients with in terms of the model that I run.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you if you and I are lucky enough to work together, like I want you to feel lifted. I want you to feel like, you know, you are aware of what potential you actually have, because been one of the keys over the years in terms of the way the business has evolved. I want the business to be basically a reminder to people like yourself or others that you are allowed to live a different life. And that's something that a lot of people forget. They forget that they have it in them to change things, and they get to a stage where they just tolerate and they're like, this is just how life is.
From you were talking also in the beginning from your youth when you were younger, what
Mhm.
was your great discover?
What was my greatest discovery
Yeah. When you were younger. Yeah.
when I was younger? That's a good question. That that was different. That I it was kind of like a calling, I guess. I think that it was the calling that took me into the fitness industry, if I'm honest. Like I I knew that I discovered that the fitness industry was something that I was curious about. It was something that just fit, as opposed to when I was in the corporate world, I was physically or mentally pulling my hair out because I just wasn't happy. It was just something that wasn't right. I couldn't see myself doing it for another, until I retired. As comfortable as that life was, I, I felt like I wasn't growing. I wasn't I wasn't fitting in, I think. I think that's what I discovered.
Okay. What part of you were not fitting in? You know?
It wasn't the culture that I wasn't fitting into. You know, I did my job well. I got on with people. I think it was more the the direction that the job was taking me in. I think that's what I didn't like, in terms of I could physically see in the industry, I could see amongst my peers where life could be in 5, 10, 15 years. And that that didn't appeal to me. And the antithesis of that was to become fitter, to look after my health, because that was on a downward slope everywhere that I looked in my industry.
Is anything what like beside, the running and the business, what brings you joy to your life
Brings me joy.
when no one is watching?
This is interesting because it is one of the areas in my life that I know need to work. That, it's one of the foundations of being an awakened man is your health, your productivity, and, like, your contribution, I guess. And in terms of the joy, it's something I need to dive into, because I think I find that I busy myself and I'm not alone very often. I've never seen that. I've never realized that, but I'm not alone very often. But when I am alone, I like to just read, go for a run, watch films, anything to do with water. I enjoy. Like I like being in the sea. I like going for swims. Like here I am living in York. I'm very close to the river, so it's like anything that involves water is brings me joy.
Like Bruce Lee will say, be water, my friend.
Yeah.
So who is proud of you?
Who is proud of me? I'm proud of myself after, the challenges that we've all had. Right? We all have our own challenges, but I'm proud of myself that I'm standing here talking to you after the challenges of a major relationship breakdown, carrying my business through the pandemic, a lockdown or few lockdowns. Who else is proud of me? My partner, my clients, my family. There are a lot of people that are proud of me.
It's funny when sometimes we don't realize that there is so much persons around us that are proud of us. And
Yeah.
sometimes we don't have, or don't give ourselves the acknowledge of that.
Mm. No, I'm learning. This is something I'm learning to be proud of myself and not needing the external validation. If I could be proud of myself, then that is that is the biggest gift I can give myself, rather than constantly seeking it outside of myself, which is not in my control. Yeah, it's a
Well,
powerful
I think
question.
it is like I think we went through already a few things and important feelings and experience that people often experience. But what I see is we don't want to express. We are afraid to express. Like I was just doing a training on a company the other day, and it was really one of the persons who were saying, "Oh, it's actually good people express these ideas and feelings," because she thought that she was like an alien, like in a sense, I'm the only one thinking about this. And it was really great because after just two hours of training, everyone was sharing even personal things and how they want to go about changing their life. So, like, just to wrap up a little, what will be one suggestion, one advice, or one thought you want to share from your experience that people, maybe in this today or tomorrow or the following week, sometimes we just need one small step, like a big race, a marathon, always starts with the first step. So what will be the first step that you could say to someone that one changed the life or
The first step: assess, draw a line in the sand, actually measure it in some way, shape, or form. Try and quantify where you are. So with the running, it's like, where is my resting heart rate at the moment? What is my body fat composition? How much muscle do I have compared to the rest of my body? Because you then know where you are, and then you compare that to where you want to be,
Yep.
and then you have data to work from, right? I'm very pragmatic in that approach. It's like, look at the numbers rather than, airy fairy being vague about it. So that would be my one suggestion or bit of advice: is assess and be honest with yourself as to where you are. And then you have a path to follow towards whatever it is you want to achieve.
Yeah, that's a good. Like I see so many people telling you, I want these, I want these. But even Google, if you see when you put a destination, the first thing is switch on the where to show where you are. So
Yeah.
then they can draw, and people want to go and start to run without knowing even the starting point. And by having this starting point, you know the guns, and you need can adjust everything in life. So like, was a pleasure to speak here. I hope we speak again.
Yeah.
And it was half an hour of good moments. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Cheers, Nuno.
Take care.